I was packing up the last of Jessica's things when I found the old stuffed dog at the bottom of the box. Its fur was matted, one ear chewed nearly off, and the faded blue ribbon around its neck was barely holding on. I hadn't seen it in years, not since Lily's third birthday, when Jessica and I still pretended we were happy. Now, the divorce papers were stacked on the kitchen table, still warm from the printer, and my 7-year-old daughter was sitting cross-legged on the living room floor, coloring in silence. I held the toy in my hands, feeling the weight of everything I'd lost. The house was too quiet. Jessica's perfume still lingered in the hallway, a ghost I couldn't shake. I wanted to throw the stuffed dog away, to erase every reminder of the life that had slipped through my fingers. But when Lily looked up and saw it, her eyes lit up in a way I hadn't seen in months. "Mr. Barkley!" she squealed, scrambling to her feet. She hugged the toy to her chest, burying her face in its worn fur. For a moment, she was just a little girl again, not the silent, withdrawn child she'd become since her mom left. I knelt beside her. "You remember him, huh?" She nodded, her voice muffled. "He used to sleep with me every night." Before. She didn't finish. She didn't have to. I ruffled her hair. "Well, maybe he can keep you company again." She smiled, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like maybe I hadn't completely failed her. That night, after Lily went to bed clutching Mr. Barkley, I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the bills piling up. The mortgage was overdue. My job at the auto shop had cut my hours, and the child support payments Jessica was supposed to send hadn't arrived. I was scraping by on ramen noodles and black coffee, trying to keep things normal for Lily. But I could see the cracks. She was quieter, her drawings darker. She missed her mom, even if she wouldn't say it. The next morning, I woke to the sound of frantic barking outside. I pulled on my boots and stepped onto the porch. The air was sharp with the promise of snow. At the end of the driveway, Lily was kneeling in the frost, her pajamas soaked through, her hands cupped around a tiny, shivering puppy. "Daddy, look!" she called. "He's hurt!" The puppy was a mess. Mud-caked, ribs showing, one paw twisted at a strange angle. He whimpered when I touched him, but licked my fingers anyway. "We can't keep him, Lil," I said, my heart sinking. "We barely have enough for ourselves." She looked up at me, her eyes wide and pleading. "Please, Daddy, he needs us." I hesitated. I thought about the bills, the empty fridge, the way Lily had stopped smiling. I thought about Mr. Barkley, and how a silly old toy could bring back a piece of her childhood. Maybe this puppy could do the same. "Okay," I said finally, "but he sleeps in the garage until we figure something out." She threw her arms around me, and for a second, I felt like a hero. We named him Lucky. I spent the last of my cash on dog food and bandages. At night, I sat up with him in the garage, cleaning his wounds and whispering promises I wasn't sure I could keep. Lily drew pictures of Lucky and Mr. Barkley, taping them to the fridge like talismans against the darkness. A week later, I lost my job. I didn't tell Lily right away. I couldn't. She was already carrying too much for a 7-year-old. Instead, I spent the afternoon calling every garage in town, begging for work. Most didn't even bother to call back. The ones that did said the same thing. "Sorry, Marcus, we're cutting hours, not adding." By dinner time, I was staring at a can of beans and a half loaf of bread, wondering how long I could stretch what little we had left. That night, after Lily fell asleep with Lucky curled up at her feet, I sat in the dark living room, the silence pressing in on me. I thought about calling Jessica, asking for help, but pride kept the phone in my pocket. She'd made her choice. She was living in a new apartment across town with her boyfriend, posting pictures of brunches and wine tastings, while I tried to figure out how to keep the lights on. The next morning, I woke to the sound of laughter. Real, honest-to-God laughter. I found Lily in the backyard, bundled in her pink coat, tossing a stick for Lucky. He was limping, but his tail wagged so hard it looked like it might fly off. For a moment, the world felt almost normal. I made a decision then. I'd do whatever it took to keep that smile on her face. I started taking odd jobs, hauling junk, mowing lawns, fixing leaky faucets for neighbors. It wasn't much, but it kept us afloat. Every night, I'd come home bone-tired, hands raw and aching, but Lily would meet me at the door with a new drawing for the fridge. Lucky was in every one, always by her side. One evening, as I was patching a fence for old Mrs. Henderson down the street, she came out with a mug of coffee and a gentle smile. "You're a good man, Marcus," she said. "Lily's lucky to have you." I shrugged, embarrassed. "Just doing my best." She looked at me for a long moment. "You know, my niece Sarah just moved back to town. She's a nurse at the clinic. Maybe you two should meet. Lily could use a friend, and well, you look like you could use one too." I laughed it off, but that night, as I watched Lily and Lucky curled up together, I wondered if maybe Mrs. Henderson was right. A few days later, I met Sarah. She was dropping off groceries for her aunt and stopped to say hello. She had kind eyes and a laugh that made you feel like you'd known her forever. Lily took to her instantly, chattering about Lucky and showing off her latest crayon masterpiece. Sarah knelt down, scratching Lucky behind the ears. "He's a sweet boy. Looks like he's been through a lot." "Yeah," I said, watching Lily's face light up. "We all have." Sarah started stopping by more often, sometimes bringing soup or fresh bread, sometimes just to sit on the porch and talk. She never pitied me, never made me feel small. She just listened. And slowly, I found myself looking forward to her visits. One afternoon, Lily came running in, breathless. "Daddy, Lucky found something." I followed her outside, expecting another squirrel or maybe a lost ball. Instead, Lucky was pawing at a patch of dirt near the fence, whining. I knelt down and brushed the dirt away, revealing a small, battered dog tag. I turned it over in my hand. The name Buddy was engraved on one side, along with an address just a few blocks away. Sarah looked over my shoulder. "That's Mr. Jenkins's address. He's a veteran. Lives alone since his wife passed." I felt a pang of guilt. Lucky Buddy wasn't really ours. Lily's face fell. "Does that mean he has to go back?" I nodded, my heart heavy. "It's the right thing to do, sweetheart." That evening, we walked to Mr. Jenkins' house. The old man answered the door, his eyes widening when he saw the puppy in Lily's arms. "Buddy!" he cried, his voice cracking. He knelt down, tears streaming down his weathered cheeks as Buddy licked his face. "I thought I'd lost him for good," Mr. Jenkins said, looking up at me. "Thank you. Both of you." Lily hugged Buddy one last time, her eyes shining with tears. "Take good care of him, okay?" Mr. Jenkins nodded, his hands trembling. "I will, honey. I promise." As we walked home, Lily was quiet. I squeezed her hand. "You did a good thing, Lil. I'm proud of you." She looked up at me, her voice small. "But I miss him already." I knelt down, pulling her into a hug. "Me too. But sometimes loving someone means letting them go." That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. I'd done the right thing, but it didn't make it any easier. The next morning, there was a knock at the door. I opened the door, expecting maybe a neighbor or another bill collector. Instead, Mr. Jenkins stood on the porch, Buddy, no, Lucky, at his side, tail wagging so hard it thumped against the old man's leg. Sarah was there too, holding a brown paper bag and smiling like she knew a secret. "Morning, Marcus," Mr. Jenkins said, his voice steadier than the night before. "I hope I'm not intruding." "Not at all," I said, glancing down at Lily, who'd come running at the sound of Buddy's bark. Her face lit up, hope flickering in her eyes. Mr. Jenkins knelt down, looking Lily in the eye. "I wanted to thank you again for bringing Buddy home. He's all I have left, and I can't tell you what it means to me. But I'm not as young as I used to be. I can't give him the walks and playtime he needs. I was hoping maybe you and your dad could help me out. Be his family, too. Lily's eyes went wide. You mean we can see him? Anytime you want, Mr. Jenkins said, smiling. He'll always have a home with me. But I think he belongs with you, too. I felt something loosen in my chest. A knot I hadn't realized was there. We'd love that, sir. Thank you. Sarah stepped forward, handing me the paper bag. I brought breakfast. Thought maybe we could all eat together. We sat around the kitchen table, me, Lily, Sarah, Mr. Jenkins, and Buddy, sharing eggs and toast, laughter, and stories. For the first time in months, the house felt full again. Not perfect, not the way it used to be, but real, honest, alive. After breakfast, Mr. Jenkins pulled me aside. I heard you're looking for work. I've got an old workshop out back. Tools, machines, the works. I can't run it anymore, but I'd be happy to show you the ropes. Maybe you could help me fix up a few things. Keep busy. I can pay you, too. Not much, but it's something. I stared at him, stunned. You'd do that for me? He shrugged, a twinkle in his eye. You brought my best friend home. Least I can do. I shook his hand, feeling hope for the first time in a long while. The weeks that followed were a blur of small miracles. I worked with Mr. Jenkins in the mornings, learning the trade and earning enough to keep the lights on. Sarah became a regular part of our lives, helping with homework, bringing over casseroles, and making Lily laugh until she snorted milk out her nose. Buddy split his time between our house and Mr. Jenkins, always greeted with belly rubs and treats. One chilly Saturday, as autumn leaves drifted across the yard, Lily came running in, clutching Mr. Barkley, her old stuffed dog. "Daddy, look what I found," she said, holding out a crumpled piece of paper she'd pulled from inside the toy. I unfolded it, my hands shaking. It was a note, written in Jessica's familiar handwriting. "Marcus, if you're reading this, it means you found Mr. Barkley. I'm sorry for everything. I know I hurt you and Lily, and I can't take it back. But I want you to know, I always believed you were the best father Lily could ever have. Please don't let my mistakes make you doubt that. Take care of her. Take care of yourself. Jessica." I sat down hard, the words blurring as tears filled my eyes. Lily crawled into my lap, hugging me tight. "It's okay, Daddy," she whispered. "We're going to be okay." And for the first time, I believed her. That night, as I tucked Lily into bed, she hugged Mr. Barkley and whispered, "Thank you for bringing Lucky home." I kissed her forehead, feeling the weight of the past months lift, replaced by something lighter. Hope, maybe, or just the simple joy of a second chance. Sarah stayed late, helping me wash dishes. As we stood in the quiet kitchen, she reached for my hand. "You know, you're not alone anymore, Marcus." I squeezed her hand, smiling. "Yeah, I think I finally believe that." Outside, Buddy barked at the moon, his tail wagging, and for the first time in a long time I let myself laugh. We weren't the family I'd imagined, but we were a family all the same. And sometimes that's the real miracle.